All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Self-Checkout Podcast, brought to you by Frontline Source Group. I'm Tyler Kern, joined by Grocery Store Mike. We are still out here at the 85th Annual OGA Convention. Really happy to be here. Really great time. We are inside the convention now, so our first inter-convention center podcast recording. So you'll hear music. You might hear people playing cornhole. Who knows? It's just always an adventure when we're out here. Mike, thanks for being here, man.
Hey,
it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me be here.
In this episode, we are thrilled to be joined by Jeff Klaus. He's the Regional General Manager for Retail Data Systems. We're going to dive into a little bit more about what Retail Data Systems does, some of the ways that Jeff has really seen the industry change quite a bit over these last few years. So, Jeff, welcome. Thanks for joining us, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks for letting me get out of my booth for a few minutes and sit at a table and have a cup of coffee and visit.
Is the worst part about being at these sort of things that you see, all like the pizza and like all the different things that people have, and you can't leave the booth to go get it?
No, I leave the booth.
Okay, good. Good.
Definitely leave the booth. The vendors at these things are fantastic, and everyone is always willing to share their products and talk about them, which I find absolutely fascinating. I didn't know there was so much that went into pizza crust or, individual sausage links. But absolutely love the stuff, love the products, and it's always nice to see what other people do for a living.
Yeah.
So I love it. Loved it.
So you're our first non-store owner or grocer here on the podcast since we've been here at OGA. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what Retail Data Systems does.
Sure. So I'm a 45-year-old guy. Worked for Retail Data Systems for 25 years. I started when I was 20. I came to work at RDS. We used to provide cash registers for a bowling alley I worked at when I was in high school. So that is how I got introduced to Retail Data Systems. Mm-hmm. And I decided I was going to come work for RDS for 1 year and save up enough money to go back to college. Here it is 25 years later, and I have probably the best job in the world. I get to deal with real-world people, grocers, in just trying to keep their small towns on the map.
Yeah.
Keep them from evaporating and blowing away. I get to bring them updated technology that they wouldn't think that they could implement or afford. Mm-hmm. They're not Kroger, they're not Walmart, they're not Target. So we try to provide the technologies to the guys that have a store in a town of 1,000 people. Yeah. And that's what RDS does. We're the largest independent point-of-sale dealer in North America. We've got over 20 offices, and we're pretty much a nationwide thing. And we deal with grocery warehouses, independent grocers, convenience stores, restaurants. Basically, everybody who's not big enough to have a gigantic IT department, we're their IT department.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Yeah, I was going to say the IT aspect is huge.
Yeah.
It's one thing to sell them the equipment, but to be able to talk them through it, especially in the crunch times.
And you're correct about that. So we are a support and service organization first. And I mentioned that I have been with RDS 25 years. I started fixing printers when I was 20 years old. So I have worked and been in every single aspect of my business, right? Whether it be fixing things, and I wasn't good at it, but I did it, doing support work, answering the phones. And you, as a grocer, ex-grocer, know that at 5 a.m. when you walk into that store, you have to be able to sell bananas and hamburger, right?
Exactly.
So my guys, they've carried pagers, they've carried cell phones, whether it's IP phones at their houses. They're available 24/7 to take care of these issues, because just because we want to sleep in doesn't mean that the customers that shop at grocery stores will wait on us.
Right. I remember when we used to have to put a cassette tape in a huge computer tower, hit halt, reset, load when we were offline, and pray. Yeah. As we watched the tape spin through, hoping we'd be back online. So I know from a retail perspective, that voice on the other end of the phone that's literally talking you off the ledge, hey, if this doesn't work, we're going to try this, is very comforting, because it never fails. It's Saturday afternoon on a holiday weekend when it tanked.
And we have this discussion with customers all the time. Our company is a service organization. When your credit card terminal goes down on Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving, we will be in a car. Right. We will be in a car, and we will bring you a new one. because we understand, we get it. That is what we do. We take care of these stores, whether they're big stores, small stores, big towns, little towns. We take care of the customers. That's literally our job.
Absolutely.
That's a really good point. And I'm wondering, just from your perspective, because you've now, like you said, done this for 25 years, so you've seen it go from one point to where we are today.
Oh, yeah.
And I know things have always been changing, right? But it seems like for a long time, what retail and what grocery stores were was, you have item that I want, I come give you currency, you give me item. But it seems as though, and you and I were talking a little bit about this last night, it's just that the data portion of it has become such a big thing these days that it's no longer just a simple transaction between two people.
Right.
There's a lot of information that can be gleaned from that, and how can you optimize things? And so the game feels like it's changed quite a bit, like probably from the time you got into where you are now.
And the margins shrink. They make less money per item, less so now than they have at any point historically. So that's why the data aspect of this business is such a big thing, right? So it used to be you would print out a list of how many boxes of mac and cheese you sold last week, and the vendor, whether it be Kraft or whoever, would write a check to pay you back for how many you sold. Now all that is automated. It reads tickets, and it automatically updates UPC data, and it sends it through the grocery warehouse, and then you get checks, or maybe you get money off of your next invoice. So the data aspect of it, whether it be data out of the store or data into the store. During COVID, when prices were changing, whether it be based on fertilizer pricing and commodities pricing, some of these stores are taking 600, 700 unique price changes every single week, excluding TPRs, excluding sale items. They're working 60 hours a week doing nothing but hanging tags. So the amount of data that comes in and out of stores is just, it's insane. And trying to stay on top of that it's almost futile without technology. I mean, it's not possible to do it.
I was going to say, too, it allows you to adjust your prices to maintain what little bit of profits you get in the grocery industry. So,
absolutely. And am I selling 37 cans of name brand pork and beans compared to 75 cans of store brand, pork and beans? Right. How should my marketing be? Do I need to shrink the number of facings on this shelving unit and expand the one next to it? So there's a lot of data to sort through, and when somebody's working 60 to 80 hours a week during COVID, especially, just trying to keep the store open. They don't have time to do that stuff, especially manually. It can't happen.
Yeah, I got so excited when we went to your booth and saw the electronic shelf tags. I was a pricing coordinator back in 1988, and that was 1988. But just to see that technology and the quality of the tag, how it locks into the track, how you can change those prices, instantly, and your customer confidence and your price accuracy. I mean, it's just such a benefit to the grocer, but really to the guest as well, knowing that the price that is reflected on that tag is current, and when they get to the point of sale up front, it's going to scan that way.
And it rings upright. Right? So we were having a conversation where, again, I keep going back to COVID because it was such a big, impactful event on the whole world, but especially on the grocery industry. They would not get price changes done. There was not enough time in the week to hang up tags.
Right.
So if you shopped at a small mom and pop store during COVID, half the time, maybe not half the time, I'm making up numbers, but a lot of the time you literally were buying the product off the shelf for cheaper than the grocer was buying it from their warehouse.
Right.
Because they hadn't got their tags hung, they hadn't got their price changes done. So you could have been buying ramen for cheaper than the store was paying for it. They
Absolutely.
were losing money. And electronic shelf labels does away with that, right? So We download the pricing directly from a grocery warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
The pricing gets activated to the front end. It's immediate. We don't have to wait. We don't have to expend the labor, time, and blood, sweat, and tears hanging up labels. It's just automated. It's done.
Absolutely. And the guesswork, too, I know we had talked about it, is those unique items that you don't necessarily see all the time. When you're chasing down a location to hang a tag, you can be assured that the price has changed, reflects properly.
And just to add to that, what's wild is we can actually take a report, and out of 20,000 SKUs or individual items in a supermarket, it can tell you, I've got 3 tags that aren't talking properly. Mm-hmm. Here's what they were linked to the last time we saw them.
Love it.
Right? So we actually know if somebody banged one with a cart, or maybe one did get pulled off the shelf or disappeared off an ice machine, we can know you're missing that tag instead of you walking down an aisle and going, what used to be next to the Cocoa Pebbles, right?
Yeah.
So it's fantastic technology.
Well, and from a broader perspective, the thing that I feel like the lesson maybe that COVID taught a lot of people or a lot of businesses and industries is just the importance now of remaining as nimble as possible so that you can shift prices as quickly, and not manually, right? Like make that an automated process, because things can change on a dime. We don't know if tomorrow another pandemic pops up, right? And so everyone now is looking for solutions and looking for things that allow them to remain flexible.
And to add to that, over the years, I don't know how many grocers I have talked to who never go out of town on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. Because Wednesdays is typically when their ad breaks, right? They can't go out of town on weekends because maybe they have to pull down TPR signs and put up new TPR signs. They structure their life around pricing in a supermarket. And to me, when I first started in this business, I did not understand. It made no sense.
Yeah.
Or if they were going out of town, they would run TPRs for 2 weeks. Right? Because nobody was there to hang the tags. So all of those problems can literally go away. So not just nimbleness of getting price changes done and getting them done in a fast and effective manner, but you're truthfully to the point of, how much is my time worth as an owner, operator, store director of a supermarket? How much is my time worth? So you make a sizable investment. They're not cheap. But the ROI in blood, sweat, tears, and money is there. Mm-hmm. It's a real technology.
Yeah, the customer confidence piece is critical. I mean, when you have the tag that reflects that current price, you can come in on that Wednesday morning and really look more about the merchandising aspect of it, not necessarily just the price accuracy of it. Have you created a wow around every corner on your displays rather than do we have a sign up that reflects the right price?
And then you have the kid, the long-armed kid that walks down an aisle, can stretch his arms out and just take out every single label and tag that you just got done hanging.
Yeah.
And half of them get kicked, they get thrown away, and then you're trying to remember what products were on TPR, what products were on sale. So then you're reprinting all of it. I mean, the electronic shelf labels have been around in one way, shape, or form for years.
Right.
But the technology at this point is coming down in price. It's still not cheap. It's coming down in price, and it is such a good technology, very readable to the consumer. And the way it works with multicolored tags, it's easier to differentiate between a regular price, TPR, a sale item, and for the grocers, we can mark them with discontinued. We can mark them with vendors. So you know which product this vendor's coming from. The technology is just, it's unreal. And it's fairly agnostic to the back office. So it doesn't matter if you're using the S4 back office, the BR Data back offices, it can work with almost any technology.
I always enjoyed when the courtesy clerk would hand you a stack of tags when he'd swept the store. They're filled with dust and debris. I found these on the floor. Gotta love it.
Yep. For sure.
So one of the reasons I thought it'd be really interesting to talk to you is, we talked to people who own one store, right? So they see their specific perspective. But I think very few people get your full perspective of, you see a lot of stores across rural America, a lot of stores across, the middle part of the country. When it comes to just how are people doing, what do you see?
Market consolidation, just like with every business. We see good operators acquiring more stores, and we see operators that may be nearing retirement age or not having a direct heir apparent selling their stores, sometimes closing their stores.
Yeah.
The last 10 years have not been easy on grocers. Excluding pandemics, you have big box stores. You've got Amazons and companies like that. And frankly, the dollar store is killing rural America. Whether that be, the big three, the big three types of dollar stores, and they will put them in any town. Half the time they'll put two of them in a town.
Yeah.
And they will choke the life out of the independent grocer in the little town. Then you are to a point where customers have to drive a half an hour to buy a banana.
Right.
That is not good for rural America. I grew up in western Kansas. I live in Kansas. I love Kansas. I love rural America. And the grocery store industry in rural America, it's hurting. Some people are doing very well, and they're making good money, good margins, and taking care of their towns, and other towns are drying up and blowing away. And a lot of it can be caused by not just, pandemics, but again, right now the biggest offender is, in my opinion, is the dollar store. And it hurts them quite a bit.
Yeah.
But as far as, dealing with all these individual different customers go, and it is absolutely amazing. And what I love about my job the most is I get to deal with real people every day. And these are all people they may be the fire captain for the county's rural fire department.
Yeah.
They may be the mayor of the town. There's a gentleman in Marquette, Kansas, who runs the motorcycle museum across the street from his store. All these people are fantastic customers, fantastic humans, and over 25 years, I can't tell you the number of high school graduations I've been invited to. I consider a lot of them friends.
I was going to say friends and family at this point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike, last question, last word?
I just, as a retailer, we truly built vendor partner relationships, and we grew to rely on those. There was that a lot of times as a retailer we were asking, constantly asking for help and support, but the value you bring to those, and watching your interactions at this show, watching these retailers come up, hug you, greet you, you are more than just a vendor. You're obviously family to them.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and guys, I can't stress enough. Thanks for letting me visit and take a load off my feet for a few minutes. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. Jeff Klaus, Regional General Manager at Retail Data Systems. Where can people find more about Retail Data Systems?
You can go to rdspos.com.
Okay.
Is probably the easiest way, or Google us.
There you go.
Retail Data Systems.
You'll find them. You'll find them there. Jeff, thank you so much for taking some time and chatting with us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike, another great conversation in the books.
It was wonderful.
Really good time out here at OGA. And so if you have only listened to this episode, go listen to the other 3 that we've done up to this point. But, really good time out here.
Outstanding.
Yep. Everyone, thank you for listening once again. We will talk to you again very soon.